In the United States and in Europe during the 16th, 17th, and 20th centuries, city planning had played a major role at the time to create an ideal city for a better future. Two inventors named Ebenezer Howard and Le Corbusier had theories to designing their own utopian city. Both Howard and Le Corbusier included technology in their ideal vision that would explain the advantages that technology affords us in the industrialized cities. Ebenezer Howard designed the Garden City that will provide a decentralized society for a small-scale cooperative living, with equal balance of industrial and agricultural productions. The site is at the center of a country house where the property will be bought by bonds. This is a three-magnet diagram describing town and country, each having its own advantages and disadvantages. The third magnet is called the town-country, that will offer freedom, cooperation, high wages, low rents, homes, and gardens. His theory was to create a garden city for 32,000 inhabitants with a green belt of farmland to prevent a sprawl. The solution for low density was to divide 6 garden cities of 5,000 residents each. The 6 are joined by a central city of 58,000 people. The circular plan at the center has parks that will be surrounded by the civic center. The next circular layer is Howard's interesting idea of a crystal palace, which is a glassed arcade that wraps around the central park. Between Grand Avenue, there are public buildings such as schools and churches, and near the area is the residential area. The plan has long boulevards, wide avenues, and water plants. The outer edge of the design are factories and farmlands that are connected to the railroads that will provide an easy commute to work. Since transportation doesn't cost as much and there's low price for goods, farmers will be able to support their town with enough food. Their rents will return to them in the form of community service. Le Corbusier had a different opinion of an ideal city. His ideal plan was a contemporary city for 3 million people. It will include Howard's concept of cooperation as well as individualism. The location of his design would be in a flat plain. The contemporary city is placed on a symmetrical grid of streets. Le Corbusier had a strong belief that the geometry of the plan can succeed, like Howard's belief on his circle plan. He believes the health of the city is speed that provides freedom. The transportation system begins with 2 superhighways that access one another, and underneath is the subway. There's an elevated railroad terminal above the highway and a rooftop for planes to land. There will be a business center of 24 glass and steel skyscrapers which will surround the transport terminal. The buildings will occupy 15% of the land. Underneath each of these buildings will have lots of green space. There's no streets in his idea. He stated, the streets are elevators and not spread all over the whole district. The dwellings are located behind the skyscrapers and are mass-produced. The contemporary city had no buying offers for houses or lands. The villa apartment blocks has 2 houses that are mounted on concrete frame apartment blocks. It has been said both Howard's and Le Corbusier's ideal dwellings for the city were to be owned jointly by their residents and run as non-profit cooperatives. The satellite towns will be located on the outer area behind the apartments. They are leisure towns just for the industrial and workers. Le Corbusier changed his rules in his plan, and that it was to provide activities like fashionable shops and cafes on the terraces of the skyscrapers. The benefits that technologies affords us in the context of the industrialized cities are described by both. They both wanted to provide easy commute to work. Howard's theory solved the large-scale community. But what if the population increased? That's when they have to form an additional city. In addition, rents will increase, which will repay investors. Le Corbusier's idea is on transportation. But what's happening with the residential area? The satellite towns show a division from the other apartments and has limited square footage. They both had rules, and they didn't want to change them, and they were staying behind their idea. The contemporary city needed one power to control the separate private corporations. The Garden City of Letchworth was the first to be built, but didn't succeed, because it was more of a solution for high population than a social community. The beliefs of an ideal city for the 20th century was to provide social innovation that Howard and Le Corbusier was trying to accomplish. They were unsuccessful with their perfect city. However, it continues to be brought up in many architects' design.